Welcome to the Author Next Door,
where we talk writing, publishing, and the business behind the books.
This podcast is for writers who are a few steps ahead into the journey. Maybe you've published, maybe you're planning what's next, and you realize the questions aren't getting easier. They're just getting more interesting.
Sometimes it's just our fabulous selves. Sometimes we bring friends to the table, but it's always lived experience and information you can use.
So pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Welcome to episode 69. I'm Angela Haas, and I'm here with my co-host, Cassie Newell. And this month, we're taking a deep dive into what it takes to run an author business. Today, we have special guests. They're all special. I keep saying that, but everyone's special. That means no one's special. We'll talk about that later. Zac Diamanti. Zac is the award-winning author of the Stone and Sky trilogy, an epic fantasy adventure, and the Fables of Finlestia.
Nice, nailed it.
Cozy fantasy series, which includes Guard in the Garden. In 2025, Zac received the honor of being named Rocky Mountain Fiction Writer of the Year. He went to college forever and has too many pieces of paper on his wall. He is a USAF veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom. Thank you, sir. And worked in ministry for over 10 years. He and his wife live in Colorado with their 4 children, where they enjoy hikes and tabletop games. Welcome, Zac.
Thanks. glad
we
so we finally
honored.
made this happen, right?
Yes, me too. Yes, we are too. For those of you who may not be familiar, which is probably like 4 people, tell listeners how you got to this point. I mean, you have an incredible background with lots of different paths. So how did it lead you to be this best-selling author?
Oh man, that's a very long story, but we can condense it. It's funny. When I was a kid, I couldn't read, and I needed glasses super bad. And military docs are a little different. So you go to the eye doctor, and he's like, "Okay, which line can you read?" It's very competitive, and you're like, "Okay, well, I don't know." And you're doing the squint, and you're trying to see, and you're like, "I think I can read that one," and you get pretty close, and he's like, "Good enough." You did it right. But it wasn't until I was in the military later that I was working at a hospital, and the doc was like, "Bro, maybe come see me. Let's get your eyes checked. Let's see what we could do." And he asked me a very different question. And so this is part of the reason why I believe that language and words are so very, very important, because he asked me a different question. It's the same question, but in a very different way. He said, "Which lines are blurry?" And I said, "Well, all of them, obviously." And he was like, okay, well, we're gonna be here for a little while." So we went through the whole process, finally got glasses, and all of a sudden I could see. And that changed my world. And I was 22 at the time. So like my whole life I didn't like reading because I didn't think I could. I thought I was dumb or something else, but all of a sudden I could read, and it changed my world. I always loved storytelling though. So getting to the point where I could actually read on top of just storytelling around campfires and staying up too late with my brother in our bunk beds, telling each other stories, choose your own adventure stories and that kind of stuff. My world changed. All of a sudden I could read.
Wow.
And I loved that form of storytelling as well, getting to write short stories. I started in horror short stories, which is so funny because my most popular books are cozy fantasies. But
Yeah.
hey, but hey, yeah, everybody's got to get there somehow.
Right. Absolutely.
Same for me. Not horror, but a different genre than where I'm at today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lots of fun along the way, figuring out that I could actually read, and it changed the game. All of a sudden, I got a gajillion books now. I think we have officially enough books to be considered a library in the house. And so, I couldn't help myself. I couldn't stop reading. And when I got back from Afghanistan, I used to be a visual artist. But after seeing the things that you see, it kind of changes the way your brain chemistry works. I needed a way to express myself, and so I started writing.
I love that.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's so amazing.
You should
That's the
do
long story, really tight as
You
we
need
could
to
get
do
it.
a biography because it
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
interesting, I think, and it's really inspiring
Right.
because I had a
Yeah.
learning disability. A lot of people, Angela, like you grew up writing and having notebooks and all the things. And
Yeah.
for me, I had to overcome quite a bit. And I always loved art and storytelling as well. But it wasn't until later in life that I fell in love with writing. I was an
Mhm.
adult and much later adult to that degree too. I wasn't in my 20s. So, yeah, I find those kind of stories really inspiring.
Hey, I didn't publish my first book until I was, what, 30 how old am I? 3 years ago? I don't know, 35 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't all get to start early.
No, we don't. No.
No. So, how much of you and your personal experiences do you fuse into your stories, though? I mean, you've seen some things here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or do
that's
you not? Is it cathartic a little to explore that, or do you just kind of pack that stuff away?
no, it's hugely cathartic. I mean, the first series that I wrote, the Stone and Sky series, came about because my dad was in the military and then I was in the military, so I always had military aircraft over my head. And I thought, wouldn't it be dope if, hear me out, all the fantasy races had their own air forces and we could have epic aerial battles and like dogfights on griffins and wyverns and stuff. And that's
Oh
where
my
that whole
god.
series came from, right? And
I love it.
then, of course, with Guard in the Garden, I was going through this very real process of trying to figure out who I was after the military, right? Going from warrior to civilian is a very, very tough transition. And you go through a lot of, I mean, a lot of times you got PTSD and depression and isolation and all these things
Mhm.
weighing on you as you try to figure out, like, what the heck is my mission now? Like, I used to be
Right.
part of this brotherhood. I used to be on mission, and you don't have that anymore. You don't have that singular focused purpose with everybody else around you on that singular focus. And so you have to figure out what your own mission is. And nobody's telling you what it is anymore. And so that process is so tough. I didn't want to tell that story and leave everybody depressed.
Right.
Enter
Yeah.
cozy fantasy. Here we go. And so with Guard in the Garden, I get to tell this veteran's healing journey in a cozy fantasy setting, all about a dwarven warrior. But it's so real. I get messages every single day from people about like, oh my gosh, this is like exactly how I have been feeling since leaving the military. Like, I can't even believe this. And not just that, but like for people who go through any sort of like major transition where their
Yeah.
dream, the thing that they've been doing forever or the thing that they've been running towards is gone. And what do they do now? What do they do with this? That was their purpose. And so I get to weave that into all the books, which is so much fun. Like Wagons and Wyverns. I get it. It's about a goblin with crippling anxiety, but I've been there. I've had
Yeah.
plenty of crippling anxiety. I mean, after writing Guard in the Garden, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this may be the best book I ever write. I'm never gonna do anything good anymore."
Yeah.
But then,
Right.
here I am. 3, 4 books later. Okay, no, we're fine.
Right. You keep
We could
going.
get through that. But
Yeah.
you got to work through it, right? And
Yeah.
so
Right.
I get to kind of deal with working through some of these issues for me personally, but they're so relatable on a human level, even though I get to tell these stories about a goblin and a dwarf and a elf. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so much fun.
Well,
I
I
love it.
wonder if that makes it more relatable too, because you're not outlining a specific person. It's a goblin. I mean, I feel like a goblin Monday mornings at 8 a.m. I can relate to and put yourself into like that viewpoint because it's not actually a person.
Yeah,
So that's pretty ingenious. So, yeah.
it's a lot of
Well,
fun.
yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit though about social media because you're a
Sure.
writing guru, but you're a social media guru. I mean, uh, the last time we saw you was at Superstars, and I think we did your TikTok seminar. Did you do it, or was that
Yes.
I
Author
did, yeah.
Nation? They like either 20 books to 50K, like it kind of all those things blend together for
Yeah,
me.
I've
But
bounced around a few of them at this
yeah,
point. Yeah.
But TikTok's really changed, though.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's definitely changed, obviously, especially at the beginning of the year. I saw a major change, and I think most of us did just because of the way,
Yeah.
the new ownership and the new things that they had to put into place for, security and all the things that influence and shift the algorithm. Definitely, things changed. And I think the community really changed off on TikTok as well because everybody kind of was bummed out about why is everything broken and busted and it's not working right. People still do use it. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of
Right.
people that
Oh,
use it,
yeah.
but it's almost
Totally.
like it is requiring a reboot from a lot of us at this point. And so TikTok has definitely changed. But I will tell you, at this point where I am in in my career, I have a social media guy working with me now to help me manage
Mhm.
everything. And just 2 days ago, we were talking about, "Okay, what's our new approach on TikTok so that we can kind of start building something over here again if it's going to work." And the trick with social media is test, 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 test. It's the same thing I tell everybody. I mentor a lot of guys who have blown up way past, my own following because they actually listen to my advice better than I do sometimes. And I'm so proud of these guys. But like I say, test, test, test until you find something that's working. And if it works, do it
Mhm.
again. And if it's working,
Right.
do it again and do it again and double down and triple down and quadruple down. And that's how it's going to grow. And some of these guys are just, they're doing so great. And they don't have kids and, all the other
Right.
responsibilities that we have.
Yeah.
So it's like the perfect time for them to dial that up. Right. But yeah, hey, look, all the social medias change and they evolve and they grow and they shift. And yeah, I see that right now. Instagram is a livelier community for books. Bookstagram is a livelier community than Book Talk right now, but that could shift as well. So it's
Right.
test, 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 and you play in all the courts because that's where the people are. Because people who like to use TikTok, guess what? That's where they're going to be. People who like to use Instagram, guess what? That's where they're going to be. Guess what? People who like Facebook, they're going to be on Facebook. And
Right.
I know you guys
Yeah.
aren't gonna believe me on this one, but people who like to use YouTube, you're not gonna believe it. They like to be on they like to be on YouTube.
Be on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all different in communities and all different pools of people because they're gonna use what they prefer to use, period.
So selfishly, and
Yeah.
I told you this beforehand, I want to talk about the community of Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really interested because I know you started really, I think, your TikTok store, right? But you also have done a number of Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, I'm planning one next year. So I have this odd question.
Okay, I'm
With
ready.
regards to Kickstarters. And it's interesting because I've gotten various answers. So I'm curious as to your perspective
Yeah, sure.
around an author's audience readiness, if you will.
Okay, I hear you.
So, for example, I've been told, don't go on to Kickstarter unless you have an audience. And then I've been told, that's okay because Kickstarter is its own audience, just like you said. I've funded so many books on Kickstarter. That's where I kind of like to find new things.
Totally.
So, there's an audience there. Do you bring it? That type of thing. So, the question is, what does an author audience need to look like before launching a successful Kickstarter? Is it size, engagement, buying behavior, or something else? What does that look like?
I love this question, and you're gonna hate this answer.
Oh,
Okay,
You
so here's
know
the
that.
deal. You might hate it. All right, so yes and or, okay, is the answer
Yes.
in short term. But really, when it comes to Kickstarter, the most important thing is not the audience that you already have.
Mm,
It is good to have a baseline audience, especially on social media and other things. I mean, my last Kickstarter, I was posting about the Kickstarter almost every day,
right.
every other day on social media. Absolutely, you should be trying to pull people to come and join you on the Kickstarter. But the reality is that a large majority of your following on social media isn't going to see it. It's going to come from your newsletter, and you'll get trickles in from all the social medias because you get a higher view rate on your readers list on your newsletter than anywhere else. And so people on your readers list they're going to see it versus the people on your social media. Who knows? They may never see
Right.
it because
Yeah.
90% of the people who see your post are probably not even following you because that's how some of these algorithms work. So that being said, social proof is a real thing. And so where that comes into play is right out the gate, right at the beginning
Mm.
of the Kickstarter. One of the things that you're going to want to do is build up an early pre-launch following on Kickstarter. And what that looks like is you rallying your friends and family and everybody else, just follow the pre-launch page just so we have some followers on that pre-launch page so that when I start going to tell everybody about it, they go over, they see, oh, there's already 50 people on the pre-launch page. Awesome. I'll follow it too, just so I'm ready
Mhm.
to go, right? Because that pre-launch following is very indicative of how your Kickstarter is going to go. And
Interesting.
I know
Gotcha.
that's a that's a weird way to say that, but that is a very important key for you to keep in mind is that pre-launch following. Because guess what?
Mhm.
Those guys get direct emails and some of them have the app on their phone. So they're going to get a
I do.
direct push notification like I do, right? Yeah. And they're going to go, oh, it's live. And they're going to go in
Yep.
there because they want to be part of like the front
Yeah.
runner burst, right? And that's where you want your friends and family and everybody else on there right at that out the gate, right on the front burst, because that's that social proof that you want for the rest of the Kickstarter.
Mm.
So for the Kickstarter community at large to come over and see, oh, there's something going on over here. And that's how you draw the rest of those guys in, if that makes sense. So you need both.
Wow.
The Kickstarter
You need
pool
both.
is a Kickstarter pool, period. But you
It's
also
a
need
whole
your,
strategy.
yeah. You also need your people who are going to just be there, ready to rock and roll with you right out the gate.
I
Mm.
love that. That's great. It reminds me a lot of the strategy you have in just publishing a book, right?
Yeah.
Because you build up your ARC team.
Yep.
It's all about those reviews at the beginning
Yeah.
before it happens, right? Like,
Right.
or right as it's happening. It's the very similar concept, right? Because those retailers, that's how the algorithm goes, oh, she likes these kind of rom-coms. Let me introduce her to this one because it's just starting these reviews. So, yeah, I love that. That's great advice. Thank you.
I know it's the yes and or sorry.
As long as I get a table of what that looks like, I'm good. I can follow along.
Totally.
But it's I think it's one of those things though that you tend to shy away from because I have gone into Kickstarter and funded, went to fund and support and
Yeah.
it didn't get picked up. Like,
Sure.
it
Mm.
just didn't. And it doesn't happen as often with books as with other things I've
Sure.
funded.
Yeah.
Totally.
Books feel very solidified and in funding. And there's just been a couple that, I didn't know them, but I was like, "Oh, this sounds really cool and I want to support
Yeah.
them." So
You
I do
just jump
it,
on.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
I think
And
I've backed
sometimes
like
they'll
79 Kickstarters or something. So yeah, I'm a notorious.
Yeah, you
We'll
know what
like
I
that.
mean? But I thought
Yeah.
it was interesting because this one gentleman, he was quite smart about it, didn't get funded, but he had finished the book and he published it on Amazon and he sent out a thing. Hey guys, I know my Kickstarter didn't happen, but you can still get my book over here. It's
Totally.
like so smart. I've
Yeah.
had
And
other
that's,
people, it just
Mm.
ghosts away.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you never
Dust in
hear
the
it.
wind
Never
and it's
really it's
gone.
just yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like gone. It evaporates.
And I
Yeah.
was like, $2.99? You betcha. Over
Uh,
there and get
I
it.
was willing
Why
to give you 20. Yeah, like
Right.
let's go. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, totally.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though, and we were talking about this. So you guys know that I ran the honor anthology and we did that
Mhm.
Kickstarter and
Yeah.
we did like $73,000,
Wow.
in funding with 22 different authors, and a whole bunch of these authors also run Kickstarters of their own,
Right.
and or have started to since, which is great because they're like, this is awesome. And of course, we're all in a group together, so we're always chatting about this stuff. And we were talking about this, I mean, just today with one of the authors in there, where we were talking about, hey, look, you got to know what your goal is going into the Kickstarter. What are you really trying to accomplish here? And I'll tell you
Mhm.
exactly what I started out with, what my actual mentality was. When I published Stone and Sky, it was my first book, I refreshed that KDP sales page 8,000 times
Yes.
in the first
Yep.
day,
Yeah.
just hoping to see it go boop, bleep, just a little
Right.
higher. And you're just like 8,000 times in the first day. And then the first
Right.
3 weeks go by and I've refreshed that page 8,000 times in the first 3 weeks. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I hate this. This is awful. And so I took a little bit of shift in mentality. And I thought to myself, okay, if I can run a Kickstarter and it makes just enough for me to fund the production of this book in its entirety, then that means on release day, I'm in the black already on release day. So it doesn't matter. I don't need to refresh the page because literally every dime that comes in after that is just cherry on top.
Mm,
Is just
yep.
It's a
profit.
good way to
And
look at
so
it.
that changed my
Yeah.
mentality entirely. And so I ran my first Kickstarter and we did $8,000. Woo! I mean,
Yeah.
was that
I would
any of
not
that
look that
profit?
badly.
Yeah. Was any of that profit? Heck no, of course not. It was funding this book and it was funding audiobook and all that other stuff, of course. But that book came out and it was already paid for before I even got there. So I didn't have to refresh my page 8 million times, just hoping to make sure, okay, if I sell 400 books, then and I get $3 from each book. And we're authors. We don't like math. Okay.
No,
No.
let's
no.
let's fund it on the front end so that everything else is cake. And when I changed that mentality, then every other book I've run a Kickstarter before the book comes out. And every time we've funded, and in fact, every Kickstarter we've had has grown from Kickstarter to Kickstarter to Kickstarter because you learn, you process, you do it better the next time. You learn, you process, you do it better the next time. We've done it, what, 6 times now? I think
Wow.
we're on number 7 coming in July for the next book, Mages and Mayhem, but that's so fun.
Fun about the one where you had multiple authors in the
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
yeah,
Yeah, the
That's
honor.
really
Yeah.
anthology.
interesting.
Do I have that one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do. Here, hang on.
Herman was in
This
there.
guy, this beauty right here. Look at this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
It's so
So,
gorgeous.
was it like everybody wrote a story specific for this Kickstarter?
Okay, so I'm a little bit of a freak and a glutton for punishment. Meanwhile, I'm writing like 3 books a year, on my own. And I go, hey, all my awesome author friends, I want to create the dopest anthology that anybody's ever seen. And I want to do it all around the theme of honor. Do you want to write a story for it? And they're like, duh, yes.
How
It was
fun. Yeah.
awesome. And so I think I reached out to 26 total authors that I knew just because I figured some wouldn't have the time or
Right.
might not be able to make a deadline or whatever, or they didn't want to fit within who knew what was going to happen, right? I gave them
Right.
hey, you got 3,000 to 10,000 words. If you go over 10,000, it's not going to work, guys. We got a lot of authors in here. Most of them were like 9,992.
Yeah.
Punks, bunch of fantasy and sci-fi authors. But no, I reached out to them and I said, "You guys wanna do this with me? I wanna make the dopest anthology anybody's ever seen." And
Yeah.
honestly, everybody who opens this
That's
thing
how
and
it
gets
works.
this at their because we still have some of the obviously, we fulfilled all the ones. We sent out like 1,600 of these bad boys.
God,
This is the purple
that's
version, but
amazing.
we have a green version as well that's exclusive to the website now. But, uh, yeah, I mean, people are getting these books and they're like, "This is the most beautiful book on my shelf now all of a sudden." And I
Yeah.
was like, "That's what I was going for."
I
Wow.
love it. I think it's a little less intimidating too for me to do things with friends
Totally.
Mhm.
versus just doing it by myself. So, yeah, I love
Yeah, I
that.
hear
It's a
that
great idea.
as the pioneer and the runner, the guy who was like, "I'm doing this, you guys wanna come with me?" I put a lot of pressure on myself not to let people down, and for me, that was a lot of pressure because I got 21 other authors that I'm trying to lead and create something really great that just raises all ships, and which we did, and we man, this anthology is so cool, but, it
I
was a
love
lot of
that.
work for me that was not in my natural wheelhouse where I had to actually
Yeah.
organize and like, hey, we need to coordinate,
Yeah.
Mhm.
this effort on social media and we need to coordinate. And so I was making templates and guidebooks and all sorts of things
Sure.
just to like help everybody get on
Organize
the
it.
same page. It was not my normal MO, but because I love working with people, I just powered through and we really did something cool.
That is
Yeah,
cool. I
that's a
did fund.
lot of people to keep track of, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
who all work on different deadlines and
Yeah.
different, ways of
right.
processing, and
And
oh,
we
I
worked
can't
with
even
8
imagine.
artists, illustrators,
Yeah.
for all the
Oh my gosh,
art that we
that's
did, and
amazing.
I worked with 5 different narrators as well. Yeah, it was a beast. It was a beast.
That is a beast. Oh my gosh. So for people who are considering Kickstarters,
Yes.
right? How do they know if it's a right fit for them? Like, I know that's a very vague kind of question, but what should they consider, I guess, is probably the better question when they're thinking about potentially running a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to think is what is really your goal? What are
Mhm.
you really
Mhm.
trying to do? And is your goal to go and bust 100,000 on Kickstarter like we did on the last one? That was not even close to my goal, 4
Right.
Kickstarters ago, 5 Kickstarters ago. My goal was literally just fund the production of this book so that I'm in the black going forward and I can fund, and then it
Mhm.
was, okay, let me fund this goal, this project, but hopefully we make enough that I can actually fund the next one too. And your goal can shift over time as you do more Kickstarters, but you really need to know what your goal is before you even decide if you want to do a Kickstarter. The other thing is this: imagery is king on Kickstarter.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
There is a stark contrast in the funding books based on the imaging that you use to create a very concise but also thorough Kickstarter page. I tell people copy and paste my page and then just fill in all your own stuff where my stuff is, right? Like whatever.
All
But
right.
I do it all the time. I tell people all the time. I mean, told somebody that yesterday. Like I do it all the time. I'm like,
Zach gave me
just
permission.
use my template and just refill it with your own stuff. Like that's what I do. Like once I created a template
Yeah,
that worked, I was like, obviously I'm going to keep using this. And sure, we adjust a little bit every time to do it better. But I mean, like don't kill yourself to reinvent the wheel, but recognize
Right.
that you have to be confusion free. That's like
mm,
key number 1. Confusion
yeah,
free. So make sure that your information is clear and concise and it makes it easy. It makes it an easy decision for people to, go for it. Yeah, easy. I'm in. Let's go. And then obviously your imagery is going to be king. So make sure and as storytellers, you got to remember you're telling a story when you put this page together. So the
Mhm.
the real
yeah,
things you got to consider are: what is your goal with a Kickstarter before you decide you want to do a Kickstarter? Do you have the capabilities of creating great imagery, or are you willing to invest to pay somebody to
right.
do that and make great imagery for you? And then what was the other one? You're going to put a lot of work into it beforehand. You got to remember that you're going to front load a lot and front load invest in money
Mhm.
for one thing.
Right.
You're going to front load invest in time and, and your mental health. But
Yeah.
the reality is it does take time for you to process and put everything together. Now, 6 Kickstarters in, I've gotten pretty good at knocking that part out.
Mhm.
Like, you kind of got your templates and you got your things because you've built them over time. Your first time, it's going to take you a lot longer than you think. You're going to be working on this thing for weeks and weeks before
Right.
you get to the Kickstarter. And then the
And I'm
Kickstarter
talking about
runs.
next year
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
already.
Yeah.
I'm like,
As you
I need
should.
to start
As you
thinking.
should. At this point in my process, we are working on stuff for next year
Yeah,
because you got to. And especially when at some point you're going to have to fulfill the Kickstarter. Now, it depends on what your goal is. Is your goal going to be, I just want to fund enough to, produce the product and make something great and get it out there, have a good start? Great. That's awesome. Your fulfillment is actually going to be not as bad as you think. Once you run a Kickstarter that's over 100,000, or how about I just even talk about the honor anthology since we just fulfilled it? We did 1,600 books that we had to send out in the span of like 5 days.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta, and I had one of the other authors actually lives here in town. One of the narrators actually lives here in town. So I had both those guys over and they were helping me for 3 days. I mean, it's crazy. And we got the kids doing stuff. You got to understand that
Right.
it's at a certain point, you got to know what your goal is, because if you want to go this big, it's going to require a lot of extra effort on the back end for sure, especially during fulfillment. like I was telling you guys earlier, we got 3,000 books coming from the most recent Kickstarter, and we gotta get the garage ready to receive all those
Yeah.
pallets, right?
A palette. Yeah, palettes. Yeah. Well, but what I'm not even close to thinking about trying this, but because I feel like there's pressure to have like built-in tons of built-in followers going in. Or if you do it the right way, can you connect with new people? Like that's where I feel totally intimidated because I just don't have consistent I have followers on my social media, but some of them are probably bots. Social media is changing so much that they don't even really see my stuff like you said but I don't know. To me, that feels intimidating. Like you've got to have a lot of people behind you going into it, or can you get
Let me
those
give you
people?
this encouragement. One of the best things is that authors who run Kickstarters love to share each other's Kickstarters. Plain
Yeah.
and simple. We love to
Yeah.
share each other's stuff, like, all the time. For example, almost every update that people see on my Kickstarters usually has 2 other people's, Kickstarters that are either in pre-launch page or are live, and for us with the Honor Anthology folks, since there's so many of us, it's just like this really great rotating, like,
That's
"Who's up
beautiful.
next? Let me throw yours in my next update," and, "Oh, who's up here? I'll throw yours in my next update," and sometimes we throw each other's up in, like, 4 or 5 updates if we can, but there are other authors who are in your space and also running Kickstarters, and guess what? You could probably connect up with them, and they'd probably be right there going, "Yeah, let's go. You could do it.
Yeah.
Kickstarter's awesome," and be
Yeah.
right behind you.
Yeah.
I think there's also genre aspects to consider with Kickstarter. And I don't know if it's because I've been in a certain funding space, but I don't see a lot of contemporary romances. You definitely see a
Mm,
lot more fantasy
yeah.
elements in publishing on the Kickstarter page. But when I do see contemporary stuff, I'm like, "Oop, let me go check it out
Which
as fast as I can." And I try to follow.
Yeah. So what you just answered your own question, where you were going.
Well, no, I think but I
There are
do think
people
you have to
like
be
you. You're
aware
not
of
the only
it.
one.
I know,
There are lots
I
of people
know.
who see that contemporary and go, "Ooh, hey, there it is."
Yeah, they
And
get
so
so excited. I
exactly.
saw Dana Claire's and I was like, "Oh, Dana's
Yeah,
doing one," and
yeah,
I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's contemporary romance, it's sports romance." I was all
exactly.
excited. But I do see a lot more fantasy than
Sure.
I do
Okay.
contemporary
So
things
what
on
so what does
there.
that mean? It means you get to stand out a little bit and people go,
Yeah.
"Contemporary romance,"
I
just like
love
you
your
said.
mindset. I just need to box you and put you right
Come
in.
Positivity.
on, man.
I know.
Right.
I know. I
Don't let
do.
it
Well,
don't let these negative thoughts hold you back, man. I say go for like, go. What are you
It just
doing?
makes me nervous. I think for me, my goal is I want to build my audience. Like, I would love to fund what I'm putting into the book, don't get me wrong. I think that's probably where again, math, money. Anyway,
Yeah.
but for me, that would be great. But for me, I want to grow
Mhm.
that audience. I want to say, "Okay, now I'm no longer short romance. I'm moving into bigger things,
Totally.
and I want you to come along with me into these
Totally.
bigger things." So
Yes.
that for me is kind of where my headspace is, and I do think if you don't have a large and I have 2,500 in my newsletter. I have an awesome open rate, super
Yeah.
engaging. I love my people,
Fantastic.
and I know they'll come out for me, but I
Yes.
want to double that. I want to
Okay.
be 5,000. I want to be
Yeah.
10,000. Like, I want to get there, and I feel like that's an opportunity to
It
do
is.
that.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
newsletter, my readers list grows, and I always call it a readers list, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering. I always call it a readers list because a
I love
newsletter
that.
kind of has this weird
Yeah.
connotation to it after the last, 20 years of,
Yeah.
spam emails. But I always call it a readers list because that means they're readers and they want to be a part of this, right? It's different. But my readers list grows every
Mhm.
Kickstarter. Because after they get to be a part of something like that, they wanna be
yeah.
even more a part of the journey and even more a part
Yeah.
of what we're doing. So, every time we go through when we do our surveys and we do the things, we gather information and, "Hey, do you guys wanna join us on this other journey and be on the readers list?" Or I can even put you on I have a Kickstarter only list where I only ever send you emails
Well,
about
that's
Kickstarter.
nice.
And people are
Yeah,
like,
that's a great idea.
yeah, that sounds awesome. And so people are all about that. And guess what? You grow
You
every
just
time.
segment them out. I love
And
it.
then you
That's so
grow every
smart.
time. And then you grow every time.
I have
Yeah.
a follow-up question. When you're making a decision about whether or not you're going to launch a book in Kickstarter or use an old IP in a special edition Kickstarter,
Uh-huh.
how do you make those decisions? Because I'm watching people that have already launched a book and now they're going to the special edition. And then I see the other version, which is more what I'm looking for to launch in Kickstarter, the special edition, all the fun stuff, and then later do it publicly. So I'm kind of curious, how do you make that type of business decision and where does that come from?
Yeah, so for me, business decisions always have to line up with my vision. And
Hmm.
so
Okay.
this is something that I talk about with some of these people that I mentor, some of these other authors that, I have calls with pretty regularly. Vision is so vitally important. Goals are one thing. Goals are, hey, we hit a goal, now we've got a new goal. There's always going to be new goals, right? And we can always continue to hit goals. But vision is what you want to see through every goal. Every time you pass a goal marker, guess what? The vision is the same, and the next goal marker is going to be somewhere along the path of that vision. And so when I talk about vision, I have three pillars for me. One, I want to create amazing stories that impact people. Two, I want to not worry about money. And
Yeah.
that's not a I want to be filthy rich or anything like that. Like I want to have so much money on every no, no, I don't care about that.
Right.
It
Sustain.
just yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want to
Right.
worry
Yeah.
about it because when you worry about it, it makes you make decisions that don't follow your vision. So let's
Hmm.
Yeah.
keep that in mind. So that's part of another pillar of my vision. And then the other one is I want to create amazing things with people I love. And so that means working with authors that I love to work with, working with editors I love to work with, working with artists that I love to work with, and publishers, all of that. And so those are my three things. And so if I'm going to make a decision on anything in the business, I go, okay, well, how does that match up against my vision? Well, okay, if it matches up with two of those and it's going to push the two of those things forward, okay, okay, it's something we definitely should consider. If it's going to push all three of those forward, boom, that's a no-brainer. It's an easy decision, right?
Mm,
If it's going to detract from a couple of those, okay, we need to think about this one. Hang on,
yeah.
what's going
Right.
on? If it's going to detract from all three, it's a no-brainer. It's like, no, thanks, appreciate it. And it makes decision making that much easier so that your creative brain has a little more space.
I like
Right.
So,
that.
yeah. So when it comes to any decision making, that's where I stem from. Now, a little more specific to your, you know, IP that's already alive,
Yeah.
right? Versus, something brand new.
Right.
Basically, since my first Kickstarter, everything has been new for me because for me, I realized and recognized how valuable it was to go into a book launch and the book was already funded. That was so valuable to me
Yeah.
that I was like, I'm just going to build this into my publishing schedule, into my publishing cycle. And so now we do special editions of books that haven't even come out, and people are so excited about it. And it's like,
Yeah.
this is fantastic. Let's do this together. This is awesome. But I can also say that I see people who do it the other way around, who have people who love these
Yeah.
books and then they finally
Right.
get to produce special editions and people are so excited. So it sounds like a win-win. I don't understand what the question
Yeah,
is.
you're
Like,
like, "Okay, Cassie, what are you asking?" I don't know. I think I'm just like, well, I
you need
mean,
me to tell you to just get over it and get on it? Like, what's wrong with
no,
you?
Probably.
no, no, no. Well, I know I'm gonna start with the first novel, and I
Totally.
know that I might have add-ons with my shorts because
Sure.
I don't see the short connection in Kickstarter
Mhm.
quite. And maybe I'm wrong, and everybody will add all the shorts. Who knows? Prove me wrong. That'd be fabulous.
Yes.
But I also see, for example, a friend of mine did her previous IP and they were beautiful. And of course, I was like, oh, I just had them in ebook,
Yeah.
click,
Oh,
you
Right.
bought them,
weird. I
the
do
whole
love
Hmm.
those
set,
books.
like it was like, oh, the pretty trophy on my shelf. And I
Yeah,
just don't
totally.
know where those decisions come from because you could pressure Angela. She's got the novels to do special editions on those
I'm
things.
cool.
It is
I'm all
all
But
set.
you know what I
about
mean? I don't
yeah.
know where that business decision comes into play. Is it in my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe they didn't have a new book coming out, so they
Totally.
decided to utilize their older
Mhm.
IP in order
Sure.
to stretch that schedule and be relevant and have
Absolutely.
something to talk about.
Fill something in, give her I
Yeah,
had this
I didn't
same
know where that
conversation
came from.
yesterday. I had this same
Yeah.
I know, it's so crazy. I had the same conversation with an author yesterday who is like, "Okay, I've got my next book is actually in a trad deal, and so it's scheduled to, like, release, like, way
Right.
over here," and I'm like, I've released, like, 11 books in the last 4 years. What am I supposed to talk about right now? And for some authors that they need that constant like something to
Right.
talk about for social media. And I was like, yeah, maybe a Kickstarter is perfect for you so that you have something going on and utilize your old IP. People love your books, so they're probably going to be very excited about this. And not only will they be excited about it, but you're gonna get a whole bunch of new people who are
New
excited about it
people.
and didn't
Right.
know who you were before. So it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. I guess I say it's a no-brainer, but really the reality is you have to remember how much work it's gonna be. You gotta
Yeah.
realize the time investment that you're gonna put into it, especially if it's like your first time, you're probably gonna let's be
Yeah.
honest, you're probably gonna be working on it for a couple months, 2 months probably, to make sure everything looks right and you feel good about it and you've done all the
Mhm.
math and numbers, which is my least favorite part. I get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Barf.
yeah,
Yuck.
yeah, but you're probably gonna spend that much time on it, and then while the Kickstarter's running, the first day, your gut's like, "Oh, are we gonna make it?" You just
So
wanna
I should
make it,
take that
right?
down.
I don't do anything on launch day for any Kickstarters, and I'm 6 deep, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously, every time. I know. This is the first time, I think. Okay, this was the first time, actually, this last one was the first time, I wasn't working on the Kickstarter the weekend before it launched,
Oh my gosh.
because
Yeah.
now I've got my systems and processes feeling really solid and good. In fact, I know this is gonna sound so dumb and, like, off the wall, but it was I stayed up too late on Sunday night playing a stupid video game called Little Kitty Big City. And it is the
Little kitty.
dumbest game
Oh my
where you're running
gosh.
around
I
as a
love
little
it.
kitty in a city. It's so dumb, and I stayed up way too late, having fun playing that instead of working. Why? Because I've done all the work, and I've done it before, and there's a little bit of different confidence there, and then the next day, it funded, like, more than
Wow. Yeah.
it was crazy. It was insane. And so, yes, early on in your Kickstarter career, it's going to be a lot of work and there's going to be a lot going on. But the workload kind of shifts as you go through Kickstarter after Kickstarter, because what happens is instead of all the front work being the majority of your time, it ends up being the back work, the fulfillment side being a majority of your time, because where you get so much faster at the front stuff, you have so many more books to fulfill because your Kickstarters keep growing and growing. So
Wow.
it's similar amounts of time, just on different sides of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, one of my last questions though is sometimes when we're talking about other concepts, like when we're talking to like the sophomore author, if they're just getting started with social media, like pick the one you like and ease into it and things like that. But is Kickstarter the same
You guys
way?
are
Do you
nice.
just,
I'm mean.
well,
I'm like,
You're
social
like,
media,
do it
do them
all.
all. What's wrong with you? Like you
I've been
made the
doing it all. I
content.
hate
unclear.
it, but I do it.
Right.
You made the content. You made a video, post it to Instagram and Facebook, and Instagram will send it to Facebook for you, and then post it to
Yeah, I
TikTok
know.
and post it to YouTube. They're all different pools. Didn't we talk about this? No, I'm just teasing.
No, I know. Yes. But no, I agree. But like, I think I've mentioned some things like that. And then you have people who hate social media and their
Totally
eyes
get it.
start twitching, and you're just like, okay, it's all right. Just start with one. But with Kickstarter, should you just go big or go home? Like, should you
Good
have the
question.
audiobook, and do you want like all the swag? And if it's your first one, are you going like all in,
Stretch
or
goal
or
crazy or what?
do you start like test the water? Is there such a thing as testing the waters, or is your policy just like, I was going to say something
I'm
kind of
like,
vulgar and I was like, no.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna.
yeah.
I know where you were going because that's how I operate. I go all in. It is not
Yeah.
Okay.
a I never I
I'm
look,
so bad
when
at
I
that. I'm
say
gonna go
when
all
I
in, and I.
say like, guys, I want to create the dopest sci-fi and fantasy anthology anybody has
Yeah.
ever seen. That's what
It
I'm gonna
Yeah.
happened.
do.
You're like,
I can't help
right.
myself.
Yeah.
I'm an all or nothing guy. Like I go all in.
Okay.
Because I do that, I think that's why you see some of the success that I've had because I'm like, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Because I want everybody involved in this to have an excellent experience because I want us all walking away with joy.
Right. Yeah.
And so, when it comes to the Kickstarter page, and I've gotten better over time, like,
Mhm.
hey, we can do this better, or we can do this better because you learn. But, like even just the Kickstarter page has gotten leaner or tighter over time. And we're like, this section doesn't really matter. Nobody really cares about that. Or, oh, this kind of reward, nobody really cared about that. Moving on. This kind of stretch goal, everybody gets super, super excited about. We need to make sure we have that kind of stretch goal in every time, right? And so when it comes to Kickstarter, my mentality is this. I'm on the front end, I'm investing because I know I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it. And I know for me and my mentality, it's only a matter of time. And so if I
Right.
got to invest a bunch of money or time on the front end, sure, okay, I'll get that done because I know it's going to come back around and we're going to take care of business afterwards. And I think that comes with confidence just having done it so many times
Yeah.
as somebody who would be starting out, I get it. Your budget is you have to have a budget. You have to be realistic on your first Kickstarter. You have to. And
Right.
you hope for the best, but you
Mhm.
prepare for the worst. And so
Right.
you make
Yeah.
sure that no matter what, you are going to produce something amazing, right? And what is your minimum viable product that's going to be amazing? So, can you do the special editions? Can you do printed edges? Can you do the
Mhm.
foil? Can you do the ribbons? Can you do all of those things?
Right.
Yes, but how much is it going to cost? Can you set up all of those things in stretch goals so that the book gets better over time too? And
Well,
then once
that's
you've
a
done it
good
once,
idea.
yeah, once you've done it once, then you're like, hey, actually, we're going to do this every time because we want this book to be as beautiful as the last one. But you already know, you've already proven that you can do it in the first one. So you're like, okay, we're going to do all of these special things in this one because we know we're going to do it already. Right. And so, sure, there's testing the waters,
Right.
but I think testing the waters is really what's your budget? What is viable for you? Time and money, right?
Mhm.
And can you give it all you got and see where it goes? Because a lot of times, what people do with Kickstarter is they will test the waters and they don't post about it every day. They
Yeah.
don't hit
Yeah.
their readers list up 3 times during the campaign.
You have to test
Uh,
it in the right way. I mean, you have to
yeah,
commit to the test
you got
and
to
yeah.
commit, right? And you got to go for it because guess what? You can fund. Period. Here's another thing that a lot of people do early, the mistakes that people make is they set their goal too high. They set their
Mhm.
goal too high. If you
Talk
think
about
about
that.
yeah, think
But you
about
can't set it too low either. It's
yeah,
the value, right? You can't
totally.
be too low. So
Yeah.
it's the
So what
medium.
is your goal,
Yeah.
right? Can you set it at $1,000 and then know that what you really need behind the scenes, what you really need to make everything proper is $7,000 and know that if it at least gets $1,000, then your Kickstarter is safe and funded. But then you build in these stretch goals to get to the goal that you actually need to hit, right? And so that was the early go. And honestly, we still do that even now. I think we had, I don't know, our goals start at like
So are you covering
$10,000
your
now.
costs at 1,000? Like if we just line that out?
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
say is you gotta understand that,
Gotcha.
okay, maybe 1,000 isn't going to cover all of your costs for this. You know that 7,000 is really what the cost is for everything for you.
Okay.
Mm,
Uh, are you willing to were you gonna invest that $7,000 anyway, and now all of a sudden you have 1,000 to go with it, all of a sudden that
true.
changes your
Yeah.
mentality on the process, right? So it's not necessarily that you have to get every single penny for the project, especially in your first ones. Okay. I mean, nowadays it's crazy. We don't even like we put $10,000 as our first goal, and then uh, stretch goals after that for fun. And we know that we need to for everything. We're probably going to spend
Right.
40,000 or something, whatever. Out of the 120 or whatever it is. But you figure that out along the way. Early on, you're like, no, let's be successful. Let's
Yeah.
hit a successful campaign, and you get that early win because, oh my gosh, our campaign funded in 2 hours. Or if you've rallied all your friends and family, hopefully it's like in under an hour, right? And that's something you get to celebrate with the backers. And the more updates that you get to share and people feel like they're really a part of something that's happening, it just gets better and
Yeah.
better, right? So yeah.
Oh
I
my
know that's
gosh.
a long answer, but really, people too do make that mistake a lot. They'll go, "Oh, $10,000 out the gate," and then they don't fund it because they only
Yeah.
hit 4,000, and you're like, 4,000? Wouldn't you have loved to have that in your
Right.
pocket with the
Yeah.
Exactly.
like, that would have helped you actually fund it. Instead of the 7,000 that you really need, let's say 1,000 so people can come alongside you because you are
Right.
fronting and believing in yourself to do it, and they're believing with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if it
It makes
almost
you a little
skates
nervous.
past that, if it almost skates way past that, if I'm going in and seeing it, I'm going to get excited by that. Like, wow,
Totally.
Yeah.
people are loving this thing. If
Yes.
I go in as like a buyer and or a funder and it's like not even close and it's towards the end, I'm like,
You're
people
like,
weren't
"I
into
don't know if
this.
this one's gonna
You know, it's
work."
a psychology
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Totally.
Versus seeing our friend of ours 300% over their fund,
Totally.
and you're like, oh,
Gotcha.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I know, like Assassin in the Ale
Yeah.
House was,
Yeah.
our funding goal was, $10,000, right? And,
Hmm.
we did, like 119 before the campaign ended, and so it's showing like 100 and it's like 1,000 and, 1,200%, funded or
Over.
something
Yeah.
silly. You're like, "Okay, well, that's awesome." But, there's a psychology to it of this is successful. Oh, there's excitement. That's why we're talking about having your friends and family be that early jump for you for that social proof because it's a real thing. It's a
Yeah.
real thing.
That's awesome. Well,
I
where
love it.
can we sign up for your Kickstarters? Where can we get in on that email? Tell listeners.
Yes. Yeah.
Or just you in general, or every book you own. Tell us
Yeah, all the
everything,
things.
where to
Yeah.
find you.
Yeah, we do. I do actually have a Kickstarter coming up in July, which is really fun. So if you guys want to follow the pre-launch page, it's called Mages and Mayhem. It's going to be so much
Ooh.
fun. It's all about a librarian who wants to rise up in the librarian ranks, but they think she doesn't have enough life experience, so they send her to an isolated island where she has to go to a mage tower and help the mages there establish a library. They're not very good at it. It's going to be a lot of
Oh my
fun.
gosh. That
But
was so fun.
yeah, that one's coming up. So if you go on Kickstarter and search Mages and Mayhem, you'll find it. The pre-launch page is already there. I think we've got 400 something pre-launch followers already, and I
Gosh, you
haven't made a
already have
single
how long has the pre-launch been open?
I don't know, maybe a month or so.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
haven't made any social media posts or anything about it. This is all just traction from Kickstarter. I'm telling you
I
guys,
love
Wow.
it.
Kickstarter has its own pool. Once I start
Yeah.
posting it to all the social media and stuff, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
But then if you guys want to find other things from me, if you're a big fantasy fan, check out freefantasyfiction.com. Yes,
Nice.
freefantasyfiction.com is a real thing. It is mine. It's way easier to spell than zsdiamanti.com, but it takes you to the same website. And there on that page, you can get 7 free stories about fantasy
Ooh,
characters that you meet in my world. And they're absolutely free and they're super fun. And you just get to join my readers list there and you'll hear all
I
about the
love it.
Kickstarters when we're ready to, launch those as well. So definitely check out freefantasyfiction.com.
that's so awesome. Okay.
It is.
Cool. We have one more thing to do.
Oh, here we
This,
go.
our Lumatory conversation card. And today's question is, in your opinion, what is the coolest animal?
Okay, I
Being the fantasy
I
guy.
might get flogged if I don't say griffin, but is that fair? Can I say griffin? I know it's a fantasy
Well,
creature.
that's
Okay,
a
all right, all right,
fantasy
all
creature.
right,
How about a real animal?
all right, all right.
You gotta have a real
Can
animal,
I
Faith.
cheat and say a turtle, mostly of the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety as well?
Oh,
Obviously.
I
I mean,
love it.
if that
She's like,
wasn't your
that's
answer,
terrible.
we were kicking you off. I mean,
Obviously, that's the only right answer.
I mean, we could just end
Gosh.
now because no one else's is gonna matter. Cassie,
So is
don't
this
say your cat butt. Don't
no?
say it.
So is it supposed our favorite animal?
Yeah.
The
What's the
coolest
coolest
animal.
animal? Like
The
a
coolest
cool
animal.
Like a black panther or something.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest animals is a beluga whale. I just think they're so cool.
That's pretty cool. That's a good choice.
Mine
Yeah.
is octopus because they're so smart. They can unscrew
Yes.
jars. They can get out of things, and
They're
they're
so
like
cool.
so cool. And oh my God, if you swim into the ocean enough, you can make one as your friend because there's a documentary about it.
I
So
know. Isn't that so cool?
yeah,
It
And they
like
can
my
is.
totally
octopus
camouflage.
teacher.
I
I
want
know.
a best friend
I
whale.
wish I
Wouldn't that
could
be
do
so
that.
cool?
They have
Yeah.
like a brain in each arm, by the way, 3 hearts. I was watching a thing that said if we thought aliens existed outside of our world, actually an octopus could be considered an alien
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's so
totally.
unlike any other animal.
Have
And I
you
was like, oh,
seen
interesting.
Have you ever seen Resident Alien? It's that Alan Tudyk show
Yes.
where he's an alien.
Love that. Oh my God.
He's got a
He's
friend
so perfect.
octopus from
Yeah.
one of the
That's why I like
restaurants
it.
because the octopus is an alien because all
Yeah.
octopodes are aliens, I guess.
Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah. I
I
love
love
that
it.
show. He's
Perfect
so good in
answer.
that. But
So
he's
funny.
my favorite in Firefly.
I mean, he is a leaf on the wind. I mean, what are you
I
gonna
know.
do?
Well, everyone, this was so much fun. Thank you, Zach, for
Yes.
doing this. Thank you for being with us and all your wisdom. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Don't forget to give us a review and rating wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps us with visibility. And if you're interested in joining us in our romance corner, the author next door after dark, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. That's where we let our hair down. And this month we're going to be talking about the use of dialogue as seduction, how banter builds intimacy. Until next time, keep writing, keep doing. We'll see ya.
We're so glad you joined us for this episode of The Author Next Door.
Writing is a long game, and it's one best played with community, curiosity, and a little grace for yourself along the way.
Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep telling stories only you can tell.
We'll see you next week, right here next door.